Today, we're going to be learning how to use Power Automate Desktop to select a file using the HTML input tag. Our goal today is to have Power Automate Desktop click this Choose File button on this web page, enter in a file URL, and click Open so that the file gets loaded in to the file input control. So let's see how we're going to do that. All right, so let's get started by creating a new flow. We will name this file input. All right, click on create. All right, so let's get started building our desktop flow. The first thing we're going to want to do is when we call this desktop flow from the cloud, we're going to want to make sure we pass our file name in. That's going to end up in this HTML input. So I'm going to click on input output variables. I'm going to add a new input variable. I'm going to call it file name. And it's going to be a string. I'm going to set a default value here because I want to be able to just test this out in the desktop application before I run it as a cloud flow. I'll just call that file name as the external name. This is what's going to show up within Flow when I actually create a cloud flow. Click Create. All right, now we have that. Now, the first thing I'm going to need to do here is actually open a Chrome browser. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to type in Chrome and we will do launch new Chrome. Now I've created just a little website that resides on my, my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to set my initial URL, choose launch new instance, initial URL. I'm going to go to advanced. I like to do clear cache and clear cookies. The one that's really important is the wait for page to load. So just waiting for that to be there to make sure that your timing's correct. I'm going to click save and we can now launch. So let's take a look at what that does. Let's click run and try this thing out. And it's going to start running and there is our browser. Let's see what we got here. Little happy bear. He's dancing. He's excited. He's ready for us to do some work. All right. Let's go ahead and just leave him up there because we're going to need this website up for the next part. So the next part is actually clicking on this Choose File button. By actually looking at our screen as an image. When Power Automate runs, it can look at your entire screen as an image and take a snapshot of your screen and look to see if that snapshot is somewhere within your screen. That's what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to be actually looking for this as more of an image rather than a object. So let's go in here. Go back to my desktop and we will do move mouse to image. So I'm going to drag that one on here. Now I have no images right now, right? So I need to select one. Now, this selection, again, I'm looking at my screen as an entire image. So I'm going to click Select Images, and now I can capture that image. I'm going to say capture in 3 seconds because I want to be able to click on things, make sure that my website is in the foreground, which it would be when it first opens. So this gives me those few seconds to click around and move things around. So I'm going to do that. All right. So I've waited 3 seconds. I've gotten this, so I'm going to go and I'm just going to select this choose file area. I just want to make sure this button's in my image. So when this runs, it's going to be looking for this image somewhere on my screen. So I'm going to choose file. I'm just going to call that image choose file so I can remember it for later. And now I can see when it sees this on the screen, it's going to move the mouse there. And then I can send a click right after moving. And I'm going to send a left click because again, I want to click on that button. There's some advanced options, which I'm going to go over here in a minute. But for right now, this one's going to work perfect. We want to click right in the middle of that button. So let's click save. Now I'm going to add a little delay in here. And the reason for that is sometimes it takes that dialog a few seconds to open. So we're going to add a quick delay in here, or wait, sorry. We'll add a quick wait. And I'm going to do that. I'm just going to drag that in there. I'm going to set that for, let's just say 3 seconds. Now, the next thing we need to do is actually input the file text. So we've clicked on this choose file button, input, and this dialog's popped up. But now we actually need to input something into this text box, which is, we're going to do that by finding this piece right here, this file name tag. And then we're going to click in about 100 pixels over to the right. The reason we don't want to include the text box in this image is because you'll see there's a blinking cursor there. We don't know if that cursor is going to be present or not when Power Automate Desktop looks for that text box. So let's go ahead and do that next. We got this open, we're ready to go. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to say move mouse to image. We're going to add another one in there. I'm going to go ahead and create my screenshot again. So again, I'm going to say select images and I'm going to say capture image. I'm going to wait 3 seconds so I can kind of get in here. I'm going to click on that dialog to activate it. I'm going to wait my 3 seconds. There we go. So now I'm just going to drag and choose just this file name tag right here. So I don't want to get in that text box. Again, that is going to have that blinking cursor in there. We don't want that. Click OK. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to move mouse. I'm going to send a click right after that. Now, the difference here, though, is this isn't the text box. I need to put focus on that text box. So I can actually choose where this click happens. So I'm going to go down to Advanced. And I'm going to look mouse position relative to image. So I'm actually going to choose for the mouse. When the mouse moves over, I'm going to go, let's say 100 pixels over. I'm going to move this 100 pixels over from that image that I found. This is going to ensure I'm clicking in that text box. Click Save. Once I've clicked on that, I know that has focus. And now I need to actually send my string in, my file name. So I'm going to do send keys. Let that load. All right, pop that over here. And from here, I'm going to choose foreground window to send the keys to. I'm going to click over here. I'm going to choose my input variable, file name, click select. I usually reduce my keystrokes down a little bit. You got to play with it sometimes. I think 4 works pretty well for this one. And click save. After that, I'm also just going to maybe wait a second or two here just to give it some time. Again, sometimes you just have to play around with these a little bit, see if a wait's involved. But I usually, like after send keys, sometimes I kind of add one of these in as well, just to make sure. And I'm just going to make this one real quick, just 2 seconds. All right, so we're ready to add our final one, which is move mouse to image. We're going to do this one again, and this time we're going to be selecting that open button to make sure our file actually gets loaded into the file input box. Again, I'm going to choose select images. I'm going to capture an image here. I'm going to wait 3 seconds. I'm going to make sure I click on that open dialog. Make sure it's activated, right? It's in the foreground. And now I will go ahead. You can see when I activated it too, it put that blue border around the open button. So now I can go in here and I'm going to select this button. And choose, just call it open button, say OK. And I'm going to make sure I click right after moving it. And it's going to be right in the center of the button, so I don't have to worry about moving that, and click save. We'll go ahead and save our flow here just to make sure it's ready for when we try this out as a cloud flow. And I'm going to click run. We'll see what happens. Got our happy bear. He's so happy to be here. He's ready for his day. He's ready to go out. We're going to find the file name text box. We're going to enter that in. We're going to wait 2 more seconds, and we are going to go ahead and click on that open file box, which is going to actually go ahead and load in that file. And you can see next to the choose file button, we now have our happybear.gif. We are so happy. Yay! And now we're going to try this out in a Cloudflow. So we've tested it out in the Power Automate desktop app. Let's go try it out in a Cloudflow. So here we have our Cloudflow area. So we're at us.flow.microsoft.com. I'm just going to go to new flow. I'm going to choose an instant Cloudflow. I'm just going to kick this off manually. We're going to call this Happy Dancing Bear and manually trigger it. Click create. We have our manual trigger now. We need to add an action. So I'm going to add a desktop flow action. I am going to choose run a flow built with Power Automate for desktop. And I'm going to change my connection here to make sure it's my correct one. And I found file input. So this is the one we just created. I'll choose file input as my desktop flow. I'm going to choose automated attended so I can see what it's going to look like. And for file name, we just need to put in that same thing we had for our default. So I'm just going to copy that in. Again, this could be dynamic content. You can manually put this in, whatever. I'll go ahead and click save. And let's give this happy dancing bear a run for his money. And click the test button, choose manual, save and test. We'll do loading and run flow. Click done. And let's wait for our happy little bear to start dancing. So there goes our browser. It's going to load up our page. We have our happy little bear. It's going to automatically click on the Choose File button, enter the text for our file, and then click the Open button. And there you have it. We've now loaded a file into the Choose File picker.